Good evening, lovely tubers. My name is the White Mexican, and welcome to Autumn's Allure. The topic of discussion that I want to review with you guys tonight is going to be on the more so negative side of the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's something I'm trying my best not to and a lack of words. I don't want this to be a complaining session of what the White Mexican thinks about, all the issues that the game have going on currently in modern day Yu-Gi-Oh! It's intended, my intentions of creating this video are just to inform whoever it is that decides to take the time to review this video on certain concerns that I personally have, that through my own experiences with the game of late. And everyone's experience is going to be different. Everyone are different people. They are going to bring different personality traits to the game, and everyone's not going to feel the same way every single day. I understand that. I respect that. I understand that there are players that want to play certain decks, and there's other players that want to play other types of decks. I understand that the game can be very intense when it comes to the competitive scene. I totally understand, the ambitions of wanting to win consecutively and to be competitive and to have the top decks and have the best win ratios and the so-called glory of the cards. I understand that aspect. Myself, I consider myself both a competitive player and then also a collector, and then just someone who just enjoys having hobbies that I love. One of them being, of course, the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I love how there's so many aspects to the game. You can be a competitive player, you could be a collector, you could be both. It could be a business, because for some players it is, it's solely there to profit. No harm in that. To each their own. Everyone has their own reason for being knees deep with this game. And that's fine. I totally understand and respect that. And versatility is key, and I love the versatility in this game. But what I am trying to get at here, I apologize, someone is calling me. I'll have to call them back. What my concern is, and what I wanted to bring to attention, which I'm sure most of you players, if you guys are like me and compete at a local level several times a week, luckily here in Syracuse, New York, we're blessed with multiple locations for locals weekly, you get exposed to a lot of different types of character traits. Like I said before, everyone's super different. One thing I personally struggle with is I've encountered several players, and again, every player is different, and it depends on which locals you go to and who you're playing against, and even what state you're in. I've played multiple locals in Texas. I've played multiple locals in all throughout upstate New York. I've played multiple locals in Michigan, around the Detroit area. I have encountered and experienced a lot of different players over the last several years of the game. And no matter where you go, there's always going to be a certain amount of people that quite blatantly just have shitty attitudes. They have really bad attitudes. They're extremely impatient. They're extremely disrespectful. And they're just all around, for a lack of better words, they're sore losers. They can't handle losing in the game. And they're very prideful about that. And I understand, being a skilled player, putting in hours to practice. I understand, researching and studying the metagames. And, working hard, investing money into being competitive, into being one of the more, skilled players within the local community. That's fine. Anyone can do that, But the issue that I have is, my personal theory, my White Mexican theory is, in this game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, and everyone should know this by now, we are all fully grown adults, we are well aware of this fact. This isn't just a theory, this is a fact. Anyone is eligible to lose at any time. It doesn't matter if you are the smartest guy in the room. It does not matter how many hours that you've play tested and perfectly crafted your ratios in your deck, or if you're playing the top tier decks, or how much the X dollar amount that you've invested in your deck. All those things play a part, but it's not the end all be all. If you brick, if you lose the dice roll, if your opponent is playing a deck that counters your deck and they get their counter cards before you get your counter cards for their deck, you lose. It's as simple as that. I'm so tired of experiencing this negative, shitty attitude, this prideful attitude of these players that, you know, they're skilled players, they're smart players, they have some good W's under their belt, but they walk into these tournaments and they act like they can't lose. And if you beat them, it's like, oh, how dare you beat me? You're no one, you're nothing. How can you beat me? It's almost like disrespectful to them for you to beat them. And they come into these competitive tournaments with the mentality that they can't lose. And a lot of these people, they just can't handle losing. They get angry, they get spiteful, they get disrespectful, they get rude, obnoxious, and just it creates this environment of just nasty, negative energy. It just ruins the fun, and overall it ruins the good sportsmanship that naturally should exist between two players. It doesn't matter if you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh or basketball or football or hockey or anything. This world is a competitive world. Everyone wants to win, yes, but at the end of the day, not everyone can be a winner. There's always going to be a winner and a loser, and you cannot have the mentality of you're going to walk into the room and win at this game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Every single locals, every single regionals, every single YCS, every single whatever. You can't think so highly of yourself and put yourself on this pedestal that you were just so above everyone else that you could never lose. Like, you already in your mind, you have it that you've won. I think it's great to have confidence with humility, emphasis on the humility. You need to doppel your confidence and your strengths with humility. If you are not humble, if you are a prideful asshole and you win a lot, people are just not going to like you. And if you want to be one of those players who wants a one-way ticket on a train sitting there by themselves and you don't want people to like you, don't want people to respect you, and just don't want to be around you because you're rude and disrespectful and you're just a sore loser and you have utterly shit sportsmanship, then by all means, be that guy. Walk into that locals assuming that you cannot lose and that no one can beat you, and you'll be thrown on your ass really, really quick. It may not happen tomorrow, it may not happen in a week, but I promise you, if you keep on being that guy, it's not going to end well for you. I promise you. And the false reality that you're believing that you can't lose and that, you know, everyone is so beneath you and that you just are so good, you're going to get knocked on your ass. I promise you. Eventually, someone's going to come along. There's always going to be a better player than you. There's always going to be a luckier player than you. Or there's just going to be someone who just is going to take the W over you. That's the way the game is. Again, it does not matter if you are the smartest guy in the room, have the most hours, the perfect ratios, the top decks, the most amount of money in your deck. It does not matter. Something as simple as a dice roll. A counter deck, you know, if you need your graveyard and your opponent's playing Macrocosmos and Fisher and Shifter and all these things and you're playing, like, let's say, Tier Element, you're going to have a hard time. There's certain decks that have hard matchups with other decks. All that is to take into account. So please, 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 my fellow Yu-Gi-Oh players, please learn how to have good sportsmanship, even in the times when you lose. I understand it's frustrating. I understand what it's like. I've lost thousands of times. I've won some and I lost some, just like everyone else. And I understand wanting to win. I understand the competitive spirit and, you know, having pride in oneself, but you have to doppel that with humility. Don't be a douchebag. No one likes a douchebag. You can get all the championships, you can get all the titles, you can win all the store credit and all the prize support, but if you're a douchebag, then you're just, no one's gonna like you. And I guess maybe if you don't care about that, I mean, then I think that you need to take some time to reflect and really figure out, you know, what you're doing with your life and really what it is that you're investing your time in. And I'm so against that. I'm just completely against that. Again, anyone can lose at any time. Anyone is eligible to lose at any time. It doesn't matter who you're playing or what event it is. One little thing could go off and it could be like the complete match for you. And I'm just so frustrated and I'm so tired personally because me, myself, I consider myself a relatively optimistic person. I try, you know, I don't let people take advantage of me, but to a certain extent, I always believe the best intentions in people first. And I consider myself a relatively outgoing person. I'm an extremely extroverted person. I don't always need to be the one talking the most or to be the loudest one in the room or going around saying hi to every single person in the locals or whatever, but I'm respectful to everyone and I'm friendly with everyone. And if someone approaches me with a question or they want to talk about something, I'm going to render them the time because that's just the type of person I am. And I believe that this, as a community, as a hobby, as a lifestyle or whatever have you, we should all be rendering the same courtesies to each other. So that's all I wanted to say about that. It's something that I've just have been struggling with mentally. I've ignored it for so long and I've just continuously seen, you know, these same groups of players who, you know, they grow with their win streaks, with their successes. They grow with pride, but negative pride. And they grow into this mentality of just almost a sense of entitlement and just being like, they get fat, they get comfortable on the top. And God forbid anyone come and dethrone them. And it's just, you know, then they just turn to the biggest assholes after that. And there's no place for that. Any sport, any competition, you know, card games, sports, you know, racing, whatever it is, there always needs to be a natural sense of mutual respect between both players, win or lose. And unfortunately, that has not really been the reality of my personal experiences through a lot of my tournaments in this game, in Texas, in Michigan, in New York. And again, everyone is different. You know, there's some really great players who are really great guys and are very positive, very humble, very skilled, very smart, but they keep that essential piece. They keep that respect. They keep that mutual love for the game, and they understand the truth, the divine truth, in all actuality, that is, you're not going to win every single time. It does not matter what you do. You're never, ever going to win every single time. You can never go into a room with the mentality that no one can defeat you because you're just living a lie. I didn't want to make this video too long. I rambled on, repeated myself X amount of times on certain topics. But the reason why if I repeat myself in a video, it's because I feel very passionately about it. And it's very, very important. And again, this is a topic that has been on my mind for quite some time. And I've been wanting to make this video. I just have been formulating kind of some ideas on how to make it and kind of put it out there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just some white Mexican thoughts for you guys. So I don't really have much else to say about that. I hope you guys are having a wonderful night and enjoying the game. Again, I love this game. I feel so fortunate to have a hobby and a passion that I love so much, and we should all be so blessed that we have found something in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! That we can all find benefits and good emotions in, and excitement and challenges and creativity. And it's a really rare blessing to love something so much. So many people just go through life and they just They kind of just live for the weekend, and they don't really love anything. They don't really invest truly into something, you know, whatever it may be. So it's important to be diverse, and it's important to have things that you genuinely love. There's, I don't really know. This is going to be kind of an awkward ending because, again, I don't really know what else to say. But, again, this was just something that's been pulling on my heart for several years now, but more specifically the last couple months, because I've just continuously ran into individuals. And just as a quick example, we all know the guys. We all know the guys in our locals that, you know, just throw fits when they lose. And, you know, it's so outrageous that how dare this, how dare there. We all understand. You guys know exactly what I'm, you know, or picking up exactly what I'm putting down. But as a quick example, one of kind of like the more obscene things that happened to me of late, I was actually in Michigan during winter break, and I competed in several locals over there in Michigan. And there was this one time I was at this locals, and it was one of the rounds. I went to the table, I checked, you know, you check the list, bigger tournament. I think it was about like 40, 35 players, so a bigger place, bigger tournament for locals level at least. Checked my table, checked my opponent, checked my name, went to my table. When I went to my table, my opponent was already sitting there. Went up, introduced myself. I was like, hey brother, my name's Antonio. This is table X whatever. Checked it, it was the right table, and I said, you know, hey brother, I'm Antonio. Are you X, X, and X? Just, I'm not going to say their name, but I knew it was their name because it was on the list, and we had the same table. And he's just like, no. And I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry, did I mispronounce your name? You know, this is table X. I'm Antonio. You're this person. I'm just verifying, you know, that you're my opponent. This is the correct table number. And his response was, I just think it's funny that everyone asks that. And I was like, that everyone asks what? And he was like, that everyone asks if I'm this person at this table. And I was just like, I was so confused. I was like, that's what you're like, I didn't know what to say. At first I thought he was kidding. I thought he was joking. I thought he was just like trying to be like funny. Like he was just trying to like, you know, have a good sense of humor. But he was dead serious. And he was genuinely irritated or pissed off or aggravated, agitated that I was verifying the table number, that I was verifying that he was my appropriate opponent. And so that was the first thing. That's what kind of set the whole mood. And then we go and we play, and of course I'm playing Kastura, he's playing a variant of Centurion. And anyway, we go to 3 games. I ended up taking the match in the 3rd game. And, you know, he just, you know, was very disgruntled and very rude. And, you know, and I go out and I'm just, you know, to give him a fist bump. And I'm like, hey, brother, good game. Fist bump. Nothing. He's all disgruntled. You know, he's just like, whatever. Gets up, you know, just storms off, leaves, you know, without, you know, saying a word. That was one incident, you know, that really sticks out in my mind just because the sheer ridiculousness of following, you know, common protocol for, you know, a local event, and then people just, you know, being a total jerk about it. And then there was, I'm kind of drawing a blank, but that was kind of like one of like the bigger experiences that drove me to try to figure out a way to draft a video for this topic specifically. You guys have your stories. I have my stories. That's just one of many. We all know who those players are out there that are difficult to deal with and are just very prideful, and there's no place for that. Like, this game is supposed to be fun. Yes, you're supposed to have a competitive spirit. Yes, everyone's trying to win, but that's just not possible to take the wins all the time. And you need to understand that, and you need to be humble, and you need to accept that there's going to be times when people are just going to have the W over you. I wanted to mention one more thing. I can't remember. I swore I was going to use my notes, but I completely forgot to use my topic notes. But anyway, that's pretty much all. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about this. I'm really passionate about this game, and again, the interpersonal skills and the friendships that go along with our game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Are very, very vital to me. And I just believe that people should render the mutual respect regardless of whatever or whoever their opponent is. And it just makes the game better. It doesn't make it so awkward and nasty and just irritating. Because I get like frustrated. Like I'm a very like, I get frustrated very easy. I don't show it. And thank God at 31 years old, I finally gotten to the point where I have the discipline and self-control that I'm just not going to go off on every little thing, on every single person, every single time, just because, you know, that's been something that I've built up in my life. In my head, yeah, I could be disappointed about something or frustrated, but the biggest things that I get frustrated with and disappointed in this game isn't solely just misplays or lost matches or missed opportunities on investments. It's the interactions with people and the negative interactions. You know, it's something about our brains. Like we are just wired to remember the negative experiences more so than the positive to a certain extent. And that's just kind of what's fresh in my mind. So that is all I have for you guys tonight. Thank you so much for joining me again. Comment below anything if you guys have experienced these crazy negative players and your own personal experiences, and maybe some solutions that we can think of. I know ultimately, like, we all have free will and that we're all going to do whatever it is that we want to do at the end of the day, but I think it's important to kind of push this message out and kind of get it out to the public and talk about these things, you know, talk about these layered topics that are, you know what, somewhat, you know, potentially uncomfortable topics to talk about in the game, because they are important. Interaction is important in this game. So yeah, thank you so much again for joining me. This has been a showcasing by Allure. My name is the White Mexican, and I'll see you in the next video.